Agriculture in the classroom seeks to improve student knowledge of agriculture by applying authentic, agricultural-based content as the context to teach core curriculum concepts in science, social studies, language arts, and nutrition. In an effort to further deepen the partnership from the grassroots, Cabinet Office directed Executive Office of the President on Tuesday the 17th of September 2024 that the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change, and Forestry to establish a more robust framework for community-based forest associations to further empower local communities in forest conservation efforts. National Landscape and Ecosystem Restoration Strategy 2023 to 2032, which aims to plant 15 billion trees. Cabinet acknowledged with appreciation the growing partnership between the public and private sectors in advancing the tree planting campaign. Welcome to SUYA e-learning for food security, climate change, school feeding program, nutrition education for all. When you have bad governance and poor accountability from your local government leaders, then you are doomed to live under control of cartels and fools. We hope you subscribe to our channel YouTube at SUYA Mombasa and share this links with your friends or family. As projections from the World Resources Institute for 2040 show, though, the problem is only due to become more widespread. Reporting by the Economist Intelligence Unit states, quickening urbanization, population growth, climate change and economic development are placing pressure on water systems. According to the outlook, 44 countries face either extremely high or high water stress levels by 2040. As warned in the Economist's report, at the same time, rising sea levels place a growing number of geographies, particularly in East and Southeast Asia, at a higher risk of flooding, which can overwhelm sanitation systems and pollute drinkable water sources. Early East African societies 2500 BCE. Anthropologists think that the first humans lived in East Africa. Early farming societies. Over thousands of years, people spread out over the continent, forming distinct cultures and societies. During early phase of their history, Africans lived as hunter-gatherers. About 9,000 years ago, some began to grow native crops in some parts. Pastoral practice of raising herd of animals arose before farming. Pastoralists in Sahara, first farmers likely pastoralists of Sahara, wetter 8,000 years ago. 5,000 years ago climate changed, Sahara became drier region. As land became desert, people migrated to Mediterranean coast, Nile Valley, parts of West Africa. Soil and water conservation. By the end of the topic, the learner should be able to define soil erosion, various factors that influence erosion, list the agents of erosion, describe various types of erosion, various methods of erosion control, carry out soil erosion control measures, describe water harvesting and conservation techniques, describe microcatchments and their uses, design and construct a microcatchment. Desertification is generally viewed as an advanced stage of land degradation. The UN has defined desertification as a diminution or destruction of the biological potential of the land, which can lead ultimately to desert-like conditions. Desertification can occur when extended periods of drought in arid, semi-arid, or dry subhumid areas, known as drylands, sap the land's productivity until it becomes dead soil. In addition, human activities often contribute to the process. While people have managed fragile dryland successfully for millennia in many parts of the world, pressure upon the land is much greater today as roughly 2 billion people inhabit drylands around the world. On the 15th of March, 2022, the UN General Assembly unanimously adopted a resolution entitled International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists, 2026 at the initiative of Mongolia. Currently, pastureland accounts for more than half of the world's land, with over 200 million people raising livestock in pastoral and agro-pastoral systems across all regions, and the sector plays a significant role in the global economy and achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. However, in recent years, on the one hand, rangelands and pastures have been affected by increasing climate variability and soil degradation, and on the other hand, pastoralists are facing many problems, including insecure tenure rights and land use change, as well as limited access to markets, education and health services. Therefore, for the pastoral populations and for the global sustainable development, in 2018, the government of Mongolia put forward an initiative to proclaim the International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists, and its tireless efforts in cooperation with organizations and mechanisms such as the UN FAO, UNEP and International Support Group have yielded the current UNGA resolution to celebrate the year in 2026. Challenges and opportunities. New line. While Africa has immense potential, it faces challenges such as lack of investment in agriculture, outdated farming techniques, and infrastructure limitations. New line. Key strategies. New line. To realize its potential, Africa needs to prioritize. New line. Investment in agricultural farming practices, providing access to technology, and improving infrastructure. New line. Supporting smallholder farmers, recognizing their crucial role in food production and providing them with access to resources and markets. New line. Promoting intra-African trade, facilitating trade within the continent to reduce reliance on external food. Line. Addressing climate change, implementing climate-resilient agricultural practices to ensure sustainable food production. To restore and regenerate Africa, initiatives like the African Forest Landscape Restoration Initiative, AFR 100, aim to restore 100 million hectares of degraded land by 2030, focusing on community-led restoration and regenerative practices. New line. The Restore Africa program has been designed for inclusive and collaborative implementation with the governments of participating countries, members of the Global Evergreening Alliance, grassroots organizations, and the private sector. Climate change aggravates the effects of population growth, poverty, and rapid urbanization. Without serious adaptation, climate change is likely to push millions further into poverty and limit the opportunities for sustainable development and for people to escape. African extreme weather events. New line. The continent is facing increasingly frequent and severe weather events, including droughts, floods, heat waves, and cyclones. New line. Specific impacts. New line. Droughts. Multi-year droughts continue in northwest Africa, impacting agriculture and water resources. Flooding. Extreme floods cause severe losses and damage, particularly in coastal and riparian areas. New line. Heat waves. Extreme heat waves have affected northern Africa, with record-breaking temperatures. New line. Sea level rise. Many parts of the continent are facing an above-average sea. Climate change is a real and undeniable threat to our entire civilization. The effects are already visible and will be catastrophic unless we act now. Through education, innovation, and adherence to our climate commitments, we can make the necessary changes to protect the planet. These changes also provide huge opportunities to modernize our infrastructure, which will create new jobs and promote greater prosperity across the globe. The Horn of Africa is facing a climate crisis that includes droughts, floods, and rising temperatures. Drought. The region is experiencing its worst drought in 40 years, with 5 consecutive failed rainy seasons. The drought has left millions without food or water, and has led to livestock deaths and crop failures. By 2030, it is estimated that up to 118 million extremely poor people, living on less than $1.90 per day, will be exposed to drought, floods, and extreme heat in Africa, if adequate response measures are not put in place. This will place additional burdens on poverty alleviation efforts and significantly hamper growth, according to figures cited in the report. Soil depletion is the loss of materials and nutrients from the soil, leading to a decrease in soil fertility. New line. Erosion. the primary cause of soil depletion is erosion, which is the physical removal of topsoil by water, wind, or ice. New line. Nutrient depletion, continuous or excessive cultivation without proper essential nutrients from the soil, making it less fertile. New line. Chemical degradation, the use of excessive chemicals such as fertilizers and pesticides can harm the soil and reduce its ability to support plant growth. New line. Physical degradation, compaction, and other physical processes can also reduce. Social sciences encompass disciplines that study human society, culture, and behavior, including examples like sociology, political science, anthropology, psychology, economics, and history. New line. Here's a more detailed look at some key social science disciplines. New line. Sociology studies human interactions and the processes that preserve and change them. New line. Political science focuses on government, political systems, and political behavior. New line. Physical science is the study of the inorganic world. That is, it does not study living things. Those are studied in biological, or life, science. Branches of physical science are astronomy, physics, chemistry, and the earth sciences, which include meteorology and geology. Soil erosion is a gradual process of movement and transport of the upper layer of soil, topsoil, by different agents, particularly water, wind, and mass movement, causing its deterioration in the long term. Soil degradation spreads at an alarming rate, endangering land fertility and productivity, and, by extension, the world's food supply. Global food security, ecosystem health, and sustainable development are all at risk from soil degradation, which is a result of both human and natural factors. Benefits of rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting offers several benefits in Kenya, where water scarcity and climate change poses significant challenges. Improved water security. Rainwater harvesting reduces dependency on groundwater and surface water sources, ensuring efficient water during dry seasons and droughts. Agricultural productivity. By providing a consistent water source, rainwater harvesting improves crop yields and supports livestock, contributing to food security. Economic benefits. Rainwater harvesting lowers water bills and reduces the need for expensive water infrastructure. Climate change adaptation. As climate change exacerbates water scarcity, rainwater harvesting helps communities adapt and build resilience. Seasonal carrying capacity refers to the dynamic nature of a habitat's ability to support a population, varying based on the time of year and resource availability. This means that the number of organisms a place can support changes throughout the year due to factors like food availability, temperature, and other seasonal influences. New line. Carrying capacity is the number of animal units that can be grazed for a specific time period. In short, carrying capacity is the amount of forage available for grazing animals. It is expressed as the number of available animal unit months, AUMs, or number of animal units grazed for. Rural poverty. Poor technology adoption. Least interested to participate. No capacity to invest even in low input technologies. Poor market access and unfavorable policies. Poor soil fertility, a social, economic, and biophysical problem. Land is the object of competition in a number of potentially overlapping ways, as an economic asset, as a connection with identity and social legitimacy, and as political territory. Competition over land and its resources is at the center of the nexus between land and conflict. Food security operates within a neoliberal framework, prioritizing large-scale production, market distribution, and corporate involvement to increase global food availability. In contrast, food sovereignty emphasizes localized, community-controlled food systems to address the shortcomings of food security. What are the four pillars of food security? Is essentially built on four pillars: availability, access, utilization, and stability. An individual must have access to sufficient food of the right dietary mix, quality, at all times to be food secure. Those who never have sufficient quality food are chronically food insecure. Food of peoples to healthy and culturally appropriate food produced through socially just, ecologically sound and sustainable methods, and their collective right to define their own policies, strategies, and systems for food production, distribution and consumption. Protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably manage forests, combat desertification, and halt and reverse land degradation and halt biodiversity loss. Protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably manage forests, combat desertification, and halt and reverse land degradation and halt biodiversity loss. A flourishing life on land is the foundation for our life on this planet. We are all part of the planet's ecosystem, and we have caused severe damage to it through deforestation, loss of natural habitats, and land degradation. Promoting a sustainable use of our ecosystems and preserving biodiversity is not a cause. It is the key to our own survival. Top surface area. The most active part of a soil particle is its surface area. A particle's surface is where nutrient exchange takes place. Sand particles have a small surface area relative to their mass, meaning they do not hold onto nutrients well. Clay particles have a large surface area relative to their mass, so a small amount of clay can add a significant amount of surface area to a soil, increasing the nutrient holding capacity. The amount of organic matter in the soil depends primarily on rainfall, air temperature, the kinds of plants that have been growing in a soil, management practices, soil temperature, and drainage. Soils that are tilled frequently are usually low in organic matter because tilling decreases residue particle size and increases the amount of air in the soil, increasing the rate of organic matter decomposition. With the removal of barriers to agricultural development aided by new investments, it is estimated that Africa's agricultural output could increase from $280 billion per year to $1 trillion by 2030. We celebrate the increased investment and the renewed commitment of governments to allocate 10% of public expenditure to agriculture. We applaud the resolve to escape from the shame of dependency on food imports and handouts. Kajiado has suffered tremendously from massive social and economic losses. Between October 2020 and March 2023, livestock mortality hit a high of 424,663 head of livestock, and over 480,000 human beings too faced acute food shortage. As a result, the county government's destocking program, in addition to panic sales by the livestock farmers. Due to the prolonged drought, the traditional pastoral production system became unsustainable. Hence, the county governor H.E. Joseph Olelenku initiated the Kajiado County Transformation Agenda, KCTA, where one of the key pillars is modular.
In the last drought, we lost an estimated 3 million head of cattle. At the farm gate, 3 million head of cattle at 50,000 shillings is approximately 150 billion Kenya shillings. Without talking about a value chain, if we do value chain estimates, one cow can approximately give you 200,000 Kenya shillings. 200,000 Kenya shillings multiplied by 3 million is 600 billion Kenya shillings. What we've lost at farm gate prices is half of the Kenyan budget that is given to county governments. We've talked about what we've lost. It's not all lost. We still can mitigate against these losses. We can save these animals. If exported, the 600 billion can even go to 1 trillion. That is enough money to pay for our debts that the country is currently facing. I've not talked about the employment that this sector has potential to sort out the unemployment issue for our youth. I urge from the national government to county governments, let's relook at the livestock sector, let's invest, and most importantly, let's be practical. Let us stop these boardroom meetings. Let us stop these stories that we are having in hotels. Let us go and do these things practically. What I've done here is small. It is fodder on 25 acres. We can talk of 1 million acres. If we do fodder as a government, county governments, national governments, 1 million acres. 1 acre of this fodder is able to feed 20 cows, 1 acre. If we do 1 million acres across the 15 counties, pastoral counties, we will be able to feed 20 million heads of cattle. We do not even have 20 million heads of cattle. So it means we'll be able to even export fodder as a business out of the country. From the fodder banks that you've seen, 1 fodder bank is able to store up to 150,000 kilos of feed. If you are feeding your animals to fatten, you would be doing about 10 kilos of fodder. If you're feeding them to sustain them, not to die, you'll feed about 4 to 6 kilos. And 1 hole is able to sustain more than 300 head of cattle for more than 6 months. I have done 7, and the 7 we will be able to sustain about 2,000 heads of cattle for 6 to 8 months without rains. County governments can do this at a bigger scale. The national government can do this at a bigger scale. Currently, we are not short of land to do this. We have existing public water holes, dams that are idle. We have boreholes that are idle. So let's just go out to the fields and do this. Let's be practical. It is doable. I have done it. It can be done.
This development node should provide agricultural support services to extensive and plantation agricultural, intermodal transfer facilities between road and rail, tourism activities based on the historical significance of the area, arts and crafts, service industries linked to agricultural activities, retail, commercial, complementary social facilities, and housing provision.
Adaptive grazing, which mimics the natural grazing patterns of wild herds, offers numerous benefits, including enhanced soil health, increased pasture productivity, improved animal welfare, and potentially greater economic returns for farmers. The research produced clear data showing that AMP grazing increases carbon sequestration and soil cogen stocks and improves soil microbial and fungal life. It also appears to be a viable mitigation of water shortages and can contribute to reducing the magnitude of poor feed conservation practices, lack of knowledge on appropriate feed and feeding practices, and inadequate data on estimates of the proportion and number of animals kept within specific production systems constrain the efficient use of available feed resources and also contribute to the inefficiency and non-competitiveness of the feed industry. The rapid population growth, urbanization have increased demand for livestock products and will continue to do so. The objectives of the strategy are to increase livestock feed production, conservation and utilization, institute quality and standards in livestock feed production and handling, ensure quality and safety of livestock feed for domestic and export markets, promote processing, manufacturing and trade in livestock feed, promote research and improve technologies in livestock feed, promote public-private partnerships, PPP, within the livestock feed industry, develop appropriate institutional and legal frameworks for the feed industry, safeguard pasture lands through synergies with the counties.
The KOLRO strategic plan outlines initiatives aimed at enhancing agricultural productivity, improving market access, promoting sustainable farming practices and fostering innovation across the sector. Through targeted innovations and collaborative efforts, the plan aims to empower farmers, increase resilience to climate change, and ultimately drive positive change in the agriculture sector.
The county's expansive rangelands provide an underutilized resource with high potential for livestock feed resource development for dairy, beef, and small ruminants. New line. The potential has not been fully exploited because of several challenges that include competition from wildlife, low quality of animal feed, weak animal feed policy environment, regulate well as inadequate data and information flows among the county animal feed actors. New line. The feed strategy aims at ensuring rangeland resources are managed sustainably and guides decisions in land use planning and investments to safeguard sustainable development of resource exploitation. Barkuma Quarantine Station was initially conceptualized as a disease-free zone, DFZ, and a flagship project under the Kenya Vision 2030 blueprint. New line. The goal of the DFZ program was to contribute towards poverty reduction and food security. New line. The overall objective was to improve livelihoods and increase the livestock section to the national economy by promoting trade in animals and animal products through improved access to international markets. Feral soils. New line. The soils of Tsavo East are classified as feral soils, a type of soil that is typically very old, highly weathered, and found in undulating topography of tropical climates. New line. High iron oxide content. New line. Feral soils in Tsavo East are known for their high iron oxide content, which gives the soil red color. New line. Poor fertility. New line. These soils are characterized by poor fertility, which contributes to the region's sparse vegetation and the unique ecosystem of Tsavo. There will come a time when only those that know how to plant will be eating. Chief Oran Lions. If you like African food systems content, please subscribe and share our channel with your friends and family, or if you're new here, hit the subscribe button so you make sure to never miss our weekly presentation podcast. Agriculture is tool to create health, wealth, shelter, protect environment, food, nutrition and basic skills development for our local communities.
To care for the soil, we must understand that it is made of both living and non-living parts. The non-living parts of the soil are formed from broken down rock and decaying plant and animal material, such as leaves that have fallen on the soil and begun to rot. The living parts are the tiny creatures that live in the soil. Some of these, such as termites, worms and beetles, are large enough for us to see, but most are too small to see without a microscope. We call these microbes, and they include millions of tiny bacteria and fungi. Microbes and soil fertility. Microbes are very important for improving soil fertility. They take the non-living parts of the soil and convert them into nutrients that can be used by plants. Chemical fertilizers, apart from being expensive and hard to access, can kill microbes. This is one of the reasons that they reduce soil fertility in the long term.
What bacteria is in a cow's stomach? Rumen microbes include the protozoa, bacteria, and fungi that live inside the rumen, one of the cows for stomach compartments. In just 1 liter of rumen fluid, you can find 25 billion bacteria, 10 million protozoa, and 10,000 fungi. Making fermented cow manure, new line. Container. You will need a container that can be closed tight to keep air out. 200L or 60L metal drums or a 20L bucket with a lid that seals shut work well. New line. System. You also need a system that allows the air to escape from the container without being able to flow back in. New line. In new line, 15 to 20 kilograms of very fresh cattle manure or new line. 750 milliliters of molasses or 300 grams of sugar dissolved in water new line. 750 milliliters of milk or 1.5 liters of whey new line. 50 grams of yeast new line. 2 kilograms of minerals. A mixture is best. 40 liters of non-chlorinated water. Waste decomposer. The pH, organic carbon, and microbial parameters were analyzed at different days. It was found that pH was in the range of 4 to 6 pH, while organic carbon in the range of 0.40 to 0.60. The microbial load indicated waste decomposer was having cellulose, xylene degrading bacteria besides the phosphorus and potassium solubilizes, which contributes for enhanced decomposition of residues. Among bacteria, Pseudomonas fluorescens is the best cellulase producer among the 4, followed by Bacillus subtilis, E. coli, and Serratia marsans. Agro-ecological food security project is located in the coastal region within Kilauea and Tana River counties, situated about 105 kilometers northwest from Malindi town off the Malindi-Voi Road. The area borders Tsavo East National Park to the east, and it is accessible through the Malindi-Tsavo Road. The project involves development of physical infrastructure for viable and economic utilization of the natural resources available within or accessible to the area making up the Agro-ecological ranches, including, but not limited to, water storage, conveyance and distribution, irrigation, livestock production, aquaculture, road network, land development, ecotourism, among others. It consists of various enterprises including maize, sugarcane, horticulture and orchards, dairy and beef ranching, fisheries, tourism and recreation, processing industries, and human settlement. The 7.5 billion Agro-ecological food security project, which covers 1.75 million acres of land, was begun by the government 7 years ago but would later stall. The project began in what the Jubilee government said was aimed at improving food production in the country. To expand Kenya's potential in combating hunger and malnutrition, 1.0 million acres were set aside for Agro-ecological irrigation project. Specifically, the plan was to put 500,000 acres under maize, 200,000 acres under sugarcane, and raise beef and game in 150,000 acres, and horticulture, orchard, and dairy animals each to be allocated 50,000 acres. The project is to contain water storage and utilization of the available water and other natural resources to ensure economically, socially, and environmentally viable crop, livestock and fisheries enterprises alongside ecotourism activities. With many governments failing to perform their duty towards their citizens in preserving and ensuring their basic right to water, drying out African lands details how communities and NGOs are left to advocate against the projects and often faced with violent repression. Misguided by the World Bank, African governments give away land and water across the continent. Governments, with support and guidance from international institutions such as the World Bank and Western aid agencies, are promoting large-scale agriculture schemes. Status of public-private partnerships. Production in the 20,000 acres model farm. Celu Limited submitted a privately initiated proposal, PIP, to undertake production, and after it was approved to move to the project development phase, according to the PPP Act 2021, they embarked on trials on the already developed 10,000 acres. Their proposal was successfully evaluated and negotiations concluded. The project agreement drafting is currently ongoing. Once the agreement is finalized, it will be initialized, presented to the PPP Committee for approval, then Attorney General before it is signed and rolled out. Because of vetiver's capacity to absorb large amounts of water, along with the binding nature of its root system, the plants create an overall a negative pore pressure in soils, further reducing risk of failure and improving land stability. The leaves grow typically about 1 meter or 3 feet high and are long, thin and rather rigid, and slightly rough sharp on the edges. Best in a hot and humid climate, though can withstand temporary low temperatures, and is sensitive to shade, needing a lot of sunlight for optimum. Studies have shown that diets rich in calcium and phosphorus reduce the number of pathogens and increase the number of lactobacilli in the gut. 8-9. Gut microbes play a key role in animal health, including digesting food, metabolism, regulating immunity, and defending against invading pathogens. In the Vedic text it is mentioned that as long as cows' feeding and welfare care are not right, farmers of the nation will never prosper, the whole country will suffer. It is a water-soluble biotreatment for new and existing plants, gardens, and landscapes. When applied to the plant's root system, soluble mycorrhizae can help reduce transplant shock and lead in increased water and nutrient. Soil food web approach. After discovering the soil food web approach, nature's soil operating system, nearly 4 decades ago, and pioneering research in the field, Dr. Elaine Ingham is recognized as the foremost soil biologist in the world. The complete soil food web can be found in virgin soils around the world. Dr. Elaine's soil food web approach is the key to rapid and effective soil regeneration. Only with the complete soil food web in place can the ecological functions of the soil be restored, protecting and purifying the world's waterways, reversing climate change and providing super nutritious foods. Using soil amendments, most soils can be regenerated in the first growing season. Studies have shown that diets rich in calcium and phosphorus reduce the number of pathogens and increase the number of lactobacilli in the gut. 8-9. Gut microbes play a key role in animal health, including digesting food, metabolism, regulating immunity, and defending against invading pathogens. In the Vedic text it is mentioned that as long as cows' feeding and welfare care are not right, farmers of the nation will never prosper, the whole country will suffer. Seasonal carrying capacity refers to the dynamic nature of a habitat's ability to support a population, varying based on the time of year and resource availability. This means that the number of organisms a place can support changes throughout the year due to factors like food availability, temperature, and other seasonal influences. New line. Carrying capacity is the number of animal units that can be grazed for a specific time period. In short, carrying capacity is the amount of forage available for grazing animals. It is expressed as the number of available animal unit months, AUMs, or number of animal units grazed for. There will come a time when only those that know how to plant will be eating. Chief Oran Lions. If you like African food systems content, please subscribe and share our channel with your friends and family, or if you're new here, hit the subscribe button so you make sure to never miss our weekly presentation podcast. Agriculture is tool to create health, wealth, shelter, protect environment, food, nutrition and basic skills development for our local communities.